have a little fireside chat, shall we? I can't believe it's already January 4th. It's not just New Year's. It's not just turned 2025. We are now into January. And I think January is typically all about things like getting organized, making resolutions. In other words, it's kind of all about before and afters, which is one of the reasons I think we love it so much. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about some before and afters today, namely ways that we can organize to get to that point. So we're going to talk about going through our photo albums, kind of calling out what we don't want, but also focusing on the highlights of our year and some things that we do want. We're going to talk about organizing our refrigerator in kind of a creative way that involves cooking and some really yummy, cozy meal planning. We're going to do a little bit of a wardrobe challenge. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. What else do we have on the slate? Oh, we're going to do a really fun makeover that was inspired by my friend John Turman. So what do you say, Stuart?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, in the new year, we all want to get organized, and we're also kind of broke after the holidays. So most of the tips that I'm going to share today will cost you little to nothing, but they also give you a big dose of immediate gratification. So let me start out with one that I have been doing since the beginning of the new year, and I really find it both gratifying, inspiring, motivational, and just kind of sentimental a little bit. And that is, I'm going through my iPhoto photo albums. Now, there's different ways that you can do that. I don't know how you guys categorize your photos. You can do it in a million different ways. But one thing I have wanted to do is really start to delete a bunch of the unnecessary photos in there that I don't use, that I will never refer to again. I want to free up space in my phone. But also, I want to do a little bit of photo mining. If there are good images in there, I want to relocate them and then mine them for what value they might have. So if you just look at the entirety of a year, you'll be completely overwhelmed. So what I have started doing is going through on a day-by-day basis my photo album. So on January 1st, I just searched in my feed, or in my photo album, I just searched for the date. So on January 1st, I searched for January 1st. That gave me January 1st of every image that I've got in my photo library. Now, if you have way too many of those, you could really isolate it down to, say, January 1st of 2023. And you could then go back and you could see, oh, what were the highlights that year? If I want to go back to 2024, what were some highlights of 2024 that I have completely forgotten about? My husband did it, and he was looking back at trips that he took in January that he had completely forgotten about. I also found great inspiration in some different projects that I had screenshot from Pinterest, or I had screenshot from a magazine or something of that nature. And I had never actually executed those projects. So I'm looking at those screenshots and I'm getting inspired to maybe actually put some of those into action. I'm going back and looking at favorite photos of my kids and things like that. Listen to can you hear the birds outside? Isn't that wonderful? So go back date by day, January 1st, January 2nd, today on January 4th, and see what images speak to you, whether it's over all of time or it's just year to year. Then you can take those images, you can delete a bunch of them that you don't want to save for the future. Those that you do, this is where you can begin categorizing them into albums. I found a number of them that I really wanted to reflect back on, and Stuart is going to roll some of those right here because for one reason or another, they spoke to me. So that's a really great tip. You might have a lot of fun doing it. It's a joyful thing to do in January, and it's free. Here's a quick tip for you. If you are not familiar with the app, the Duplicate Photos Remover, you can take a screenshot right here of this. It will scan all of your images and look for duplicates. When the scan is complete, you can go back through and you can delete all of those that are duplicates. I don't think that it will tell you if something is very, very similar, but definitely exact duplicates it will. And this is a great way to remove photos that you just really don't want to have trashing up and filling up space in your app. One thing that's been kind of joyful for me this January is, despite the fact that I'm a creator on social media, I really don't consume that much social media. So even though I, like you, I have my Instagram pages that I save and that I follow, I've got YouTube channels that I follow, I've got all sorts of Pinterest boards, but I really don't look back at them and see what I have curated over time. So obviously that's a fun thing to do. Something else that I amass over time, way too many of them, but it's free and it's fun, and that is coming up with all sorts of tear sheet files based on different categories. They could be flower arrangements, they could be living room, they could be recipes, they could be, Christmas, it could be Easter, whatever, and I keep those all in a seagrass filing cabinet that I keep on my counter in the office. But I want to give you an example of something that I just pulled recently, and I loved the image, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to take these two images this week and I am really going to do something with them. In one case, I had to get some flowers for it, so that's not free, but you could always go outside and pick what you can find, or just use one simple blossom instead of lots of them. And the other one was just something that I wanted to arrange. It was a screenshot that I took from Pinterest. So Stuart, let's go to some of my inspiration pages, and then inspiration transformed into reality here at the cottage. Okay, here's my first inspiration photo. It just screamed at me as soon as I came across it in all of my files. And that was this image right here. It looks very kind of Tory Burch to me. Now what spoke to me was the vibrancy of the orange flowers. I'm not even sure what they are, if they're tulips or something. And then obviously the blue and white cachepot. So yeah, the purple drapes. Yeah, but that's a whole different story. So this is about this vignette right here, Stuart. Stay focused. And anyhow, so I knew that I had some blue and white containers, some cachepots or bowls or something that I could use. And then I knew that I could probably locate some flowers in that vibrant huge by going to my favorite place where, what is it, Stuart? Trader Joe's. Okay, and there's the big reveal.
That was well done.
That was well done. Okay, so I had a bowl here, and I just decided I had another cachepot, but it already has amaryllis in it, so I just decided to use this bowl, and actually a smaller version of this.
We didn't plan that shot, by the way.
No, we did not. That was just by accident. Another thing that I did that's completely free, and you guys can do this too, is I not only switch out we switch out bedding this time of year. We switch out all sorts of things. One thing I switch out from one location to another are my lamps. And before I had two matching stoneware lamps, and I put my blue one back in here because why? It looks so beautiful with these orange roses that I got from Trader Joe's. And then at Christmas time, I had some seeded eucalyptus that had started to dry, and I just punctuated and accented this arrangement with some of those little sage green sprigs, and I really like the way they look. This will last for quite a while. So how did I put it together? I had some of that floral foam that's not Oasis. It's not wet Oasis, and I'll see if I can find the link to it. It is made of all natural materials. And then I just secured it in place, a block of it with some floral tape, and then I just started cutting rather short all of these stems of roses. This is, I believe, 2 bunches of them. They were like $9.99 a bunch. So depending on how much money you want to spend on your bunches, you could use 1, you could use 2, you could just use maybe 3 roses or whatever your budget allowing. But I think it looks really beautiful. So not only did I do a big version of this, a mama version of this, which I think looks beautiful, But I also did, and don't judge me by anything you might see in the past, because January is the only time where I just let chaos rule in the cottage, because it's all about getting order. It's all about reorganizing. It's all about the before and after and the contentment you get out of turning chaos into something that makes kind of sense.
There's no chaos back there.
Well, there's a little bit of chaos. There's a little bit of chaos. But if that was the mama, here is a baby. So I had too many. They were left over. So I just did the same thing. I replicated it, saving some of the foliage from the roses. Isn't it beautiful?
Crazy.
And then I just put it on a blue and white plate. And this color combo is probably, it might be our color of the month, or our color combo of the month. This gorgeous, it's not really a cobalt blue. That would be my question of the day. What would you call this shade of blue? I would call it beautiful. But if you have an idea, please let me know. But I think that this combo of this orange and this blue is simply spectacular. Now let's take a look at my tear sheet inspiration number 2. Well, it has been quite a while, I think, since I've done an outfit of the day, but this is kind of a fun one. It's all about red in January. So from top to bottom, starting with my wonderful earrings from Atrios Tile. Yeah, I've had these for years. Love them. Love Elizabeth. Love the work that she does. We will put a link to her work below. My top, my sweater is new. It is from Ever Eve. This is a new line of clothing for me, you guys, and I really, really like it. I bought several things on sale this year. I had a red turtleneck that it was time to replace, and I got this one, so I really like it. Oh, my scarf. My scarf is from my friend Bryn in New Jersey, and I'm going to try to do something with her around Valentine's Day. But this is a tip, you guys, if when you wear turtlenecks, they really scratch you, or there's a tag in the back and it scratches you, makes you itch a little bit, then definitely wear a scarf underneath your turtleneck, and I think that helps a little bit, especially if it's 100% silk like this one. It is very, very comfortable. And then lastly, my wide leg jeans are universal thread from Walmart, and you guys have seen these before. And let me talk about why I'm so enthusiastic. These actually just came off of Amazon. They're an Uggs dupe, but what I like about them is their thick sole.
Shoes were, I thought it was on the jeans, my bad.
Yeah, thick sole. So the reason I like them is they've got that thick sole, and when I'm puttering around the house, my feet don't get quite so sore, because as I age, I notice that I'm starting to lose some of the fat pads on the balls of my feet and the heels of my feet, and these really help. So there you go. There's my outfit of the day. Okay, well, I kind of lied there. I said it was going to be another tear sheet inspiration. Actually, it's inspiration from Pinterest that I had taken a photo of, and I found it in my photo files while I was going through them. Digital tear sheet. And this one is from one of the, by the way, here's a tip. Follow this guy. His name is Timothy Whalen. And look there. Of course, it captured my eye because of the beautiful topiaries, the books. This is also what inspired me to move my 2 lamps from the sideboard in the parlor to this wicker table that belonged to my second mom in my office. And then I just basically copied the vignette. I didn't even want to think about it. So where he had books placed, I placed books. Where he had his topiaries placed, I placed these topiaries and tended them very happily beforehand. That was a true joy. And I just rearranged things that I already owned. So that would be another free, joyful thing to do in January, is just come up with a picture from a book, from a Pinterest board, a tear sheet, out of a catalog, wherever you find ideas. Take one of those ideas and just replicate it. It made putting this together so much fun, and not only that, I selected books that I know I will want to refer to in the month of January. So that was fun, and it was free. Now this is a no-brainer. January is all about reading to me, and I'm reading a number of different things, but I'm approaching it in a little bit of a different way. Some of you may have heard of something called slow reading, and there is a challenge by a gentleman named Simon Hazel. He has a Substack account called Footnotes, what's it called? Footnotes and Tangents. And he is British, I believe, and I'm not exactly sure what his credentials are, if he's a literature professor or what he is, but nevertheless, he's very interesting. And he is doing what he calls a slow read of, drumroll please, War and Peace by Tolstoy. Now, I have never read War and Peace. Obviously, my literary son Johnny's probably read it multiple times, but I decided it was time that I correct that, and I needed to be a little bit more culturally literate. So the fun thing about this is that it divides it up into very easy, digestible pieces. So as I understand it, War and Peace is 361 chapters. How many days in the year are there? 365. Each chapter is only about 3 to 5 pages. So you can easily read a chapter at night before you go to bed, while you're waiting in line at the grocery store. I just think it's a wonderful idea. And you just slowly consume something over the course of the year. You eat that elephant one bite at a time. Now, the brilliance of this is that not only allows you to read that book, but because it comes in such small increments, you can read other things at the same time, which is also something that I am doing. So I can read something substantive, and then I can read something a little bit more frivolous. But this is a book that I wanted to read for a long time, and I haven't. So this is a fun kind of thing. We will put a link below if you want to follow this gentleman, because he has all sorts of kind of Cliff Notes cheats, if you will. If you have trouble keeping the characters straight, if you want to know some historical backdrop information, if you want to know context information, and it's all about war and peace, and not necessarily war and peace in a military setting. Apparently, it's war and peace in parlors. It is war and peace between relationships. Anyhow, I am really excited about starting it, so you might want to start that too. Another thing that I would highly recommend is going back through your Instagram feed and finding new Instagram accounts that are new to you, but that might be similar to some you have been following in the past. And you can do that just by going to the one you're already following, and it will give you recommendations there. And so, Stuart, right here, I'm going to give you some recommendations on maybe some old follows, but also some new follows on Instagram that I think you would really enjoy. And it goes without saying that if you enjoy following them on Instagram, you might want to follow them on Pinterest as well. I love the aesthetic, the style, the tone of Victoria Skoglund, who is a Scandinavian, and she has both an account and then she also has a business called Zeta's Garden. So I follow both of those pages, and then those inspired me to look at some different accounts, because the Scandinavians really look at their aesthetics in a completely unique way. That is not expensive, it's not overly consumptive, and a lot of it is just things that you use from nature. So definitely, Stuart, let's just kind of do a roll of those different accounts. You can always pause the YouTube video to capture those accounts. And then lastly, one of them that I've really been enjoying, and it's going to be a shameless plug, but my son Johnny has just recently started doing Instagram. He is a beautiful writer. It is what he does professionally. After all, he does literary translations. He is very, very well traveled. He lives in Singapore, and he recently, as some of you may know, just got back from a tour of India with my husband. So, and he has more literary depth and literary references than anyone you will ever meet. But he does it, I think, in a really palatable way that's not too pedantic, and I think you will just really enjoy following him. So yeah, Johnny Vater, he just started an account. He doesn't have that many followers, but I think you'll enjoy him, especially if you want to just be a voyeur into a 30-something-year-old guy's life who lives a very intellectual type of life in another part of the world. So those are some of my recommendations. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't also share some other things with you. What I and Hubs are just obsessing about right now, and that is the series Silo, which is on Apple Plus, which will then lead me to tell you about another free opportunity you might want to take advantage of. It does require a little bit of attentiveness and follow through, but a lot of these places like Netflix, Apple Plus, what are some of the other apps? Hulu, Paramount, or whatever, they will give you a free trial. So if you want to take advantage of those free trials in January to watch some of these series when it's ugly and gloomy outside, and then just cancel them before they start charging you, that's not cheating, that's just smart.
Hey, it's working the system.
Yeah, so that way you can take advantage of some of these wonderful series like Silo, which, by the way, it is so compelling with little violence, no sex, but great character development. I think you'll really enjoy it. It's a little bit depressing, but it's also fascinating. And it's got some great actors in it, Sarah Ferguson and Tim Robbins, so I think you'll really enjoy it. So that would be my recommendation there. And then one other fun thing that we're going to be doing for you, which will probably go up as a completely separate video, and that is we are going to start getting some digital tutelage, some digital instruction from none other than Stuart Perriman, who is going to give us insight into how we do stuff digitally. And we're going to start out with how do you create a Spotify list? And you can tap into Spotify for free. You can set up a free Spotify account and you can create your own playlists. So sometime this week, I'm not exactly sure when, Stuart is going to show us. He's going to do a walkthrough, show us how to create our own playlist. So phew, that was that. Let's go on to our next fun tip and we'll be right back. And something else that is free is a conversation that I would love to have with you this Sunday. It will be at 2 o'clock Central Standard Time. Just sign in and join us. You can ask me questions. I can ask you questions. And that'll be at 2 o'clock for free. For a small charge, you can become a member. Just go to the home page on my YouTube channel, click join. And those of you that are members, you can join 30 minutes early. The benefit of that is probably there's a greater likelihood that I will actually see your comments and your questions and respond.
Less people, yep.
Yeah, less people, and respond in a more personal way. So that will be at 1:30 Central Standard Time. And definitely something else that is free in general is my YouTube channel. So if you have not already subscribed, please subscribe, hit the follow button, hit notifications. We would love to have you as part of our little community here. Okay, this is my John Turman inspired gift that keeps on giving. You guys know that at Christmas time, I just got out my silver polish and I polished up some of my galley trays and also a little biscuit jar. And that made me think, ooh, that's a great little before and after. Take advantage of what you already have just by transforming it in some way. And the easiest way to transform silver is just by giving it a good polish. Now, I have been using this Right Silver Cream. You can see how yucky, how yucky. We'll put a link on the screen where you can find it. Now, why I like this is it is kind of a paste, and it already comes with a sponge that you can use to polish up your pretties. And I decided that I liked the effect of that so much that I wanted to do some more of it. Now, depending on whether or not you like the look of unpolished versus polished silver, that might depend on what kind of mood you're trying to create. So this is very, it's like in a castle. You're the chatelaine of your estate, and you've got these beautiful burnished candle holders, silver candle holders, that's hard to say, with beautiful wax dripping down. It's very old worldly. It looks like something that would be in a painting. This is Stuart's preference. Now, I love this, and I have done this for years because I haven't polished my silver. But this year I thought it might be fun for going into spring to get a little bit lighter of a vibe. And so I polished this other silver candlestick with some of my handy Wright's silver cream. And then I just had a burnishing or a polishing rag. And I did that. And then, of course, another easy way to transform and do a makeover on what you already have is just by switching out your candles. And so I can do that as well, never forgetting to use one of my little glass bobèches so that you can see here. See how it captures the wax?
It's done its job.
Yep, and then I can just blow this candle out and I could just really remove that wax right there. But let's not stop there, because not only can you polish your hosting and hostessing things out of your butler's pantry, but, and this has been more fun than I could have imagined, I got out my sterling silver jewelry and I started polishing some of it. And I don't know that it was intentional or not, but I think I quit wearing, here, let me see, can I do this? Does that?
You can see the difference.
Yeah, I quit wearing some of my silver earrings and things, I think because they'd become a little bit dull. So I polished up this cactus and look at the difference.
Yeah, it shines.
Yeah, and you can do this with a polishing glove, a silver polishing glove, or I just did it with some of my silver cream. Here's another pair that I did, and it changes the whole look of them.
Oh, yeah. It's like a whole different thing.
Yeah, it's like a whole different thing. And I could have polished these even more, but I kind of ran out of time and I quit. But it makes you feel like you have a whole new wardrobe of jewelry that you can wear, the polished versus the unpolished. I got out this necklace to wear the other day, and the look that I had going with that is it was very matted. It was kind of, it was more of a dirty silver look. And then I decided, maybe I will polish that as well, and it will be beautiful. Make it new again. This was my favorite polishing project. I found these in, you know how sometimes you put your jewelry in those little silver bags or little felt bags, and or velvet bag. Yeah, Stuart, you do it all the time.
I'm aware
you
of
do it
that.
all of the time.
Totally.
And you put something in there and then you forget you even have it. Well, I came across these beautiful hoops.
Oh, wow.
And I have started polishing these. I need to polish them a little bit more. Now, why are these so near and dear to me? Because my husband got these for me before he was my husband. He got these for me on a trip to Peru, way back when he was actually in Peru to scatter some of his brother's ashes. And while he was there, he got me these earrings and brought them back to me. We were just dating then. So these have a really special meaning for me. I was so glad to find them. Sometimes we don't know what we have until we just look. We don't need new things. We just need to rediscover what is already ours. So something else that I'm thinking about rediscovering, however, Stuart doesn't want me to. Here's another question of the day. I've got this silver biscuit jar with an M on it. It belonged to my mom. It looks pretty incredible this way. It's beautiful in an old world way.
The lid looks like space.
Yeah. Do I or do I not want to polish this biscuit tin? You give me your feedback. Stuart is a hearty no, don't polish it, but you let me know what you think. And to answer a question from a viewer, what did I do with the Yopon holly branches that I cut and brought indoors on our last Wednesday walkabout? Well, I put them right here in a thrift store vase. underneath this painting in my hallway. And if you don't want to spend money on roses at Trader Joe's, then just go outside and clip some beautiful branches from your own garden. It can really make a dramatic statement, whether it's on a console table like this or on your dinner table or your kitchen island or your bedside table, wherever you want to have a punch of color. Now, you may call me crazy, but you know what? I think sometimes being frugal can be fun. It's an act of creativity to transform something from what it is into something else, because it's just really a way, I think, to figure things out, to come up with solutions to problems you may have. And by problems, I mean things as maybe unsubstantive as having too much kale in your refrigerator. So this week, I am challenging myself to do most of my cooking based on what I already have in my freezer, in my pantry, from the dregs that are at the bottom of my condiment jars to produce that's getting ready to go bad, to those fancy jars of things that you get as gifts that have been sitting in your pantry forever, but you never open them and you don't know what to do with them exactly. So I'm really trying to motivate myself to come up with different ways that I can use up those things. So starting with one thing that I have lots of kale. I've got lots of fresh kale that my friend Jen just brought to me. I have lots of frozen kale from earlier in the summer when I had some from my own garden that I didn't use up. And I thought, what can I do with this? And I thought, ooh, what is better this time of year than soup, and what is better than a cream soup? So here's my tip, just anything you've got in excess. Whether it's kale, right now I have lots of apples left over from decorating for Christmas. Whatever it is you have in excess or in small amounts you want to use up in your refrigerator, just search that term. So I just thought, okay, I want to make some cream soup out of kale. So I just Googled healthy cream kale soup, and I came up with a wonderful recipe that got 5 stars. Vegan cream of kale soup. We will provide you with the link. Now, it did have a couple of weird ingredients that I thought I didn't have, but as I was looking in the bowels of my freezer, I did indeed have some nutritional yeast that I had bought earlier for another recipe that I never made, so who knew? Yeah, really. I really wanted to high-five myself on that one. Of course, if you don't already have some, you can run to the grocery store and get some, because you can still get new things.
You're adding two stuff.
You're adding two stuff, yes, to really use up what you already have. You're spending out, as Gretchen Rubin would say. And then I already had the other ingredients, including some coconut milk that was in the back of my pantry that I was able to excavate. So all I have to do is put all of this together, and I am using up all of the fresh and frozen ingredients in my freezer. I think it's a great idea. I think what's up next for me are some healthy, delicious baked apples, because I've got tons of apples. I have tons of apples left over from the holidays. And finally, I want to give a big thank you to all of you who sent me cards, holiday greetings. You sent me gifts. You dropped gifts by the cottage and came to see me. You sent me emails. I can't tell you what that means to me. It makes me feel as if what we have, this connection that we have, is really substantive, and that you truly are friends, and I hope you consider me a friend as well. I hesitate to really point out any message that I got or gift in particular, largely out of fear that I would leave someone else out, and then they would feel as if they were being shunned, and I don't want to do that. Sometimes it gets a little overwhelming for me. There are just so many kindnesses, and that is a wonderful way to be overwhelmed. Yeah. I am going to point out one just because it's a nice segue to something else. This is from my friend Debbie Clark. She lives here in Oklahoma City, and she went to Scotland with me and Hubs last year and the Garden Gate group, and she put together this photo album of some images of our trip, and it really means a lot to me. Debbie, I need to have you sign it for me next time you come by. And if you want an experience like this, then I would really encourage you to consider going on the Ireland trip with Garden Gate and myself and my friend Kristen this July. I think it will be a lot of fun, and we will put a link to all of the details below. And on that note, thank you for your friendship and for the community that you have helped us build here.